Hello, I'm John Schu, and I'm the ambassador of school libraries for Scholastic Book Fairs. I am so excited about your upcoming book fair. When kids are in middle school, it's so important to keep a love for reading alive, and Scholastic has so many great stories to choose from. Let's dig into a few of my favorites, starting with Alan Gratz's Ground Zero.
Could you tell everyone out there what Ground Zero is about?
So Ground Zero is a story of 9/11, and it's told from the viewpoint of two different kids. The first one is 9-year-old Brandon. He is in the World Trade Center, in the North Tower of the World Trade Center on September 11th, 2001, when the very first plane hits, and he has to try and survive. And the second story is from the viewpoint of Reshmina. She is an Afghan girl, and she lives in Afghanistan and is caught in her own version of 9/11 in the present day, in 2019, when her village becomes a battleground between the United States and the Taliban.
I was reading this book. I was thinking about how all of your books, especially your historical fiction books, are perfect for showing students empathy and building empathy. And I've heard you talk about how through reading story, we can develop more empathy.
I think that books build empathy, and empathy builds compassion, and I think that compassion leads to change. I think it leads to action. I've seen this through my own books, like Refugee, where I've seen young readers get activated by the book and want to go and make change in their local community and make change in the world, contacting Congress people and raising money for refugees. I think that books, historical fiction, allows us to see the way that human beings have responded to a crisis in the past. And it allows young readers to say, do I agree with that response, or do I disagree with that response? And how do I want to move forward? And how do I want to respond the next time something like that happens? Hopefully, sometimes, like in the case of the Holocaust, those things never happen again, and those young people stay on guard and make sure that doesn't happen. For ongoing things like the racial issues that America faces right now, or something like the refugee crisis that is still ongoing, those are things that we have responded to in the past, sometimes well and sometimes not so well, and they can take their lead from those responses and say, this is how I'm going to address these problems in the future.
I cannot wait to share this book during hopefully future school visits and during presentations. And I was wondering, would you be up for finishing one of my sentences?
Oh, yes.
Scholastic book fairs, ...
I would say are a great place to go on a historical adventure.
Oh, they are.
I'm so grateful I had a chance to chat with Alan Gratz about his important book, Ground Zero. I also had an opportunity to chat with Debbi Michiko Florence about Keep It Together, Keiko Carter. Here's what she had to say about it.
And I am excited to chat with you today about Keep It Together, Keiko Carter. And I'm going to give you a scenario. So imagine you're talking to middle school teachers and 7th graders, and they're about to go to their Scholastic book fair. What would you tell them about this book before they go to their Scholastic book fair?
I would say Keep It Together, Keiko Carter is a book of my heart. Keiko is excited to start 7th grade with her two best friends, Jenna Sakai and Audrey Lassiter, until Audrey decides that the three of them should get their first boyfriends in time for the fall dance, and suddenly their friendship starts to fall apart. And Keiko is doing everything she can to try and keep things together. This is a story about changing friendships and first crushes and learning to speak up for yourself.
Well done.
Hooray!
Now, if one of the students raised their hand and said, what planted the seed for this book, what would you say to them?
I lived in upstate New York and had this great community and friends. And then my husband, his job sent us to Shanghai, China. And all of a sudden, I was very isolated. I didn't have any friends, and everybody was on the opposite time zone for me. But two of my friends, my writing friends, changed their writing time so that they could write with me online so that I wouldn't be alone. So they wrote at night, I wrote in the morning. And I thought, what a huge thing friendship is. How important is friendship? And that made me think about middle school, because middle school was when all the drama with friendship was. And it made me think about how friendships change and how hard it is to let go of friends. I'm like Keiko, I'm a people pleaser. And so that was kind of like the spark that got me started writing this friendship book about three friends.
So here is my sentence starter for you, Debbie. Scholastic book fairs are ...
Scholastic book fairs are like the pot of gold at the end of a rainbow.
Yes,
anything with books are treasure.
Yes, they are. And this book is a treasure.
Those are just two of my favorite books from the fair, but there are so many more, like Poisoned by Jennifer Donnelly, which has one of the best covers of all time. Just look at that central image. It's mysterious. It's intriguing. It shouts out, "Pick me up and read me right now." And right now, I want to read the tagline to you. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the deadliest of them all?" Poisoned is a retelling of Snow White that will most likely change the way readers think about power and the real meaning of happily ever after. I know right now that you have the perfect reader in mind for this action-packed read. If your kids and their family members need some recommendations, feel free to start with these, which will definitely lead them to even more great books, which means even more rewards for you and your school. Thank you so much for joining me today. And as always, happy reading. And I hope you have the most wonderful book fair ever.